Welcome to Storypower TV. I'm J Loren Norris, your host, and we have in studio today with us a young lady who has been all over the world just to meet people. She's built business just by meeting people. And in fact, her business is meeting people, but she's also built business in several different industries by meeting people. One thing that's fascinating to me from the lens of Storypower TV is how much networking, and by that I mean meeting people, and evangelism have in common. I mean, you got to be willing to tell your story. You got to be willing to share what you're up to, your business, your products, your services, your style. But you've also got to be willing to meet absolute strangers to do that. You've got to be willing to have a conversation with somebody you've never even seen before, which means you've got to care enough about them to do that. And our guest in studio today has made a living and a life doing exactly that. So please help me welcome our guest today, Ms. Amy Varley. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. So grateful.
So tell me, the question of the show is, who is Jesus to you and why would I care?
So Jesus to me is love and loving people.
Okay. And why do I care?
Because you should love people too.
It's a pretty simple command, right?
Yes.
Isn't that what he said? Love one another. In fact, it's the greatest commandment. Mm-hmm. It's also, this is how they'll know that you're mine.
Yes.
And I think we miss that sometimes. So let me ask the more complicated question then. What does it mean to love people?
So I think to love people means to set your own agenda and your own self aside and see what the needs of that person are so that you can be Jesus to them.
And what if you disagree with them about things?
I think you can still love them and not agree with them. You can love them because disagreeing with them is not going to show them love or show them Jesus. And so I think being kind even in disagreement is really important.
So I hear a lot in media and social media about hate crimes and hate language and things that are said on various forms of social media that are offensive and that you've hurt my feelings, therefore it must be a hate crime. How do you deal with that when you meet strangers from all over the world where there are different cultures, different societies, different worldviews, different belief system? How do you love on an absolute stranger whose world may be so different from yours they don't even understand you?
So I always heard the universal language is a smile, and that disarms people all over the world, even if you don't speak the same language. So you can really connect with someone and show them love and kindness just through a smile.
Now, how did you get into networking, whether it's network marketing or just networking to build your own business? And in fact, I know one of the services that you do as a business of your own is to do networking for somebody else. Mm-hmm. When they're your client and it's not even your business, not your product, not your service, you're just connecting them with other people.
Yes.
How did you discover that was the who that you are?
So believe it or not, I used to be shy. I know you probably don't believe that because now I would talk to a brick wall basically. I absolutely love people, and a friend of mine introduced me to the industry of networking. I went to my very first personal growth and development conference, and I just completely fell in love. It really helped build my confidence, and it actually gave me a reason to connect with people, and I'm so grateful for it because without that, I think we would pass by people sometimes and maybe be too afraid or too shy to talk to them. And just being in networking has opened so many personal doors, so many professional doors, and people are just fascinating and amazing, and you just never know who you're going to meet. So it's super fun to me, and it's always an adventure when I go out to network.
What was the moment, the epiphany or revelation that allowed you to say, I'm no longer shy, but I love people? And is that a contrast, loving absolute strangers versus being shy? Or how are they different?
Or I guess maybe sometimes people could say introverted versus extroverted.
Okay.
And I've actually seen and helped so many introverted people become more extroverted. And it's a beautiful thing to watch because I see them kind of blossom outside of their comfort zone. So for me, I think the epiphany was like maybe the first time that I saw the impact it had on another person to just have a conversation with them. So I love to see transformation, see people have hope, and be happy in their life. And so sometimes just connecting with someone can do that. It can be the one thing that, makes their day or prevents them from being isolated or alone.
Now, you were telling me before the cameras came on that you recently experienced some healing in your voice and in your throat, but you said that dates back a bit to when you were angry with God. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think that we can tend to get angry with God for certain things, like for me, like losing a baby, things like that. But then you see the blessing in it later, and you see God's hand in it later. But when you're in the midst of things, sometimes I think you can get angry with God when it's not Him that you're supposed to be angry with, and then it can manifest physically. I work with a lot of doctors who show the physical effects of hanging on to emotional trauma. And so I think that manifested in my voice, and like maybe the enemy trying to shut my voice because I have a message to get out to the world. And I actually had a pastor lay hands on my throat and get healed. And it tries to come up every once in a while. You might hear my voice sound a little crackly. But I couldn't speak for 6 months. And I actually had to network and build my business via text, which was very interesting because it's harder to have personality and talk to people and communicate, obviously, when you can't speak. But
Right.
I actually made it fun and made a joke out of it. And I would maybe text you if we were sitting here and just show you what I wanted to say. So I kind of made a game out of it. But yeah, I'm so grateful that God healed that. And
So what do you think there was a direct correlation between your stress and your anger with God and your voice not working?
I do, yeah. And I had also, wildly enough, I hadn't been on a vacation in a while, and I went on vacation, got prayed over, went on vacation. So I think I got prayed over and went into a rest mode and just got healed. So I was like, just do prayer and go on a trip. It'll heal everything.
I can go on trips. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said you feel like maybe sometimes your voice is being silenced because you have a message. What is that message?
Yeah, so I think, and I know you know probably better than everybody has a story and they have a message. And sometimes if we're going to reach large groups of people, I think the enemy can mess with our voice or mess with our message or mess with our mind to where we don't feel qualified or worthy to deliver that message to someone. So,
What is your message?
So my message is connecting with purpose.
Okay.
And it's changed my life. Connecting with people is everything to me. So I absolutely love meeting people. I love hearing their stories. I love giving people hope. And it's just amazing what God can do through a relationship. And if we have the courage to talk to somebody.
I think it was Will Rogers who said, never met a stranger I didn't like. Would you put yourself in that category? Because I know I meet people, and sometimes I meet people and like, we cannot hang out together because I could not, no. I'll buy you a cup of coffee as long as you sit over there and drink it because I can't tolerate your personality, your style, your tone of your voice, the color of your hair, whatever it is. I have a really slim margin of tolerance for stupid people. And by stupid, I don't mean unknowing. I mean people who know that what they're doing is wrong or harmful and they do it anyway. I could pray for me because I have very thin patience for people like that.
Yeah.
So how did you move yourself into a place where you can accept everybody and still find a reason to have a conversation with them?
So I went to a training one time and it was talking about seeing the other side of the coin, and it actually told 2 stories. So the first story was from the perspective of the person that was receiving, maybe the frustrated, angry person.
Right.
And then the second story was the perspective of the person actually giving out the frustration and what had happened to them to cause the frustration. So it actually gave you a different lens to see, okay, this person is going through something, they're suffering in some way.
Right.
Now, it's not always easy to do that, and I'm definitely not always perfect at that, but sometimes when we see somebody who's really bitter and angry, it's usually a symptom of something they've been through or they're hurting in some way. And so that's their way of coping, and that's their way of doing it. So, sometimes being nice to a person can snap them out of that, and occasionally it doesn't work. But then you feel better on your part that you loved them, even if it's, okay, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Maybe make them feel better in the moment and brighten their day. So they're probably used to people lashing back at them. So when you're different and you smile and just love them anyway, which I think is what Jesus does, then that shows them love. And, maybe they don't receive it in the moment, but maybe later they reflect on it like, wow, I was really not a nice person, and this person was still really great to me.
Have you ever studied Dr. Cootie?
It sounds really familiar.
To the best of my knowledge, she's the one who did all the research on the Wonder Woman pose.
Oh,
I see a
okay.
lot of people
I like it.
talking about it now from various ways, but part of what she sought out to do, because she was a TBI victim, she had a traumatic brain injury while she was working on her doctorate's degree, in fact. And if you can go back far enough to find her original TED Talk, you can see she's still nervous, she's still working this stuff out, but she's already done the research on it, been through all the peer review research and all that kind of stuff, and she came back and said, basically, we believe that our physiology expresses our psychology.
Yes.
And so if you see a smile on someone's face, it's because they're happy. She said, my theory was, what if they're not happy yet, but by smiling they become happy?
Yeah, that's what
And so part of that was, if you've got body posture that says, I'm timid, I'm weak, I'm whatever. And so their exercise was to have people go through a job interview. And she said, we're going to put this whole slew of people rated in different places on confidence and self-esteem and introvert versus extrovert, all of these people through an interview process. And the interview is going to be really, really tough. And we're going to measure their body posture before they go into the interview, during the interview, and after the interview. And she said the people who sat in the hallway prior to the interview, closed off, small, encompassed in themselves, would go into the interview with a lower level of confidence and would often, even if their resume was incredible, they would bomb the interview. And they would walk out of the interview even more crushed than they were when they went in. She said, on the other hand, you had all these people, they're all splayed out on the chair, they're cocky, they're, big, they're open, they're loud, they're extroverts, and they would walk in and just own the interview, even if their resume was just junk. And they would walk out of the interview feeling like, I got this.
Yeah.
She said, we decided after that observation to switch it. And so we encouraged the people who were timid to stand in the hallway with their hands on their hips and their shoulders back and just breathe deep just before they walked in. She said their confidence level went up 70 to 80%. And when they came out of the interview, more of them felt like, I got this, than did in the first round. Same kind of interview, same kind of people, same kind of measurements, but completely different results because their physiology informed their psychology. Something you said a while ago was the smile is the international hello, if you will, without the words, even if you can't speak the same language. Do you find in your own experience, maybe you've gone into a networking event, you're having a bad day, you spilled your coffee, had a flat tire, got there late, it's been one of those Dallas traffic mornings, and you walk in and force yourself to smile, and you ever done that?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Does it work?
It absolutely works. So if you want to change your mood, you can always smile and you just feel better. That's something I teach my little 4-year-old too, because when he's frustrated about something, I'm like, smile at me. And he might do this kind of thing,
The
but
fake smile.
he feels better.
And
Yeah.
you can see that.
I can see it.
And how long does it take for you from the emotional frustration, the mental stress, the disorganization, I feel like I'm running way behind, moving into that engagement of I'm going to smile no matter what? Is that 2 or 3 minutes, 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 seconds? How long does that transition usually take?
Seconds, yeah.
Seconds.
It's like in an instant, you can change your state with a smile.
Is it contagious?
I think so, yes.
I teach a program called Attitude Hack, and my research was basically Dr. Caroline Leaf and Dr. Cootie and Brene Brown and some others studying the concept of mindset. And attitude, formulaically, is a thought plus a feeling equals the attitude. So how you think about what you feel and how you feel about what you think. So whichever one comes into your realm first, a new thought or a new feeling, when they come together, they become an attitude. And in the same way that 2 plus 5 equals 7 and 7 minus 5 equals 2 and 7 minus 2 equals 5, and that conjunction works in any direction that you try to solve that problem. Attitude is what you think plus how you feel, and how you feel about what you think, and if you want to change your attitude, change one of those two things. It's pretty fascinating to me, though, that the only thing more contagious than the common cold is an attitude. And so if you're thinking my day has been a train wreck, and you're feeling my day's been a train wreck, then your attitude is a train wreck. But when you walk into a place where there are tons of people, your attitude becomes infectious. John Maxwell calls them the dump truck people. They show up at your desk and they dump all their problems on you. Now you have a dumping ground in your front in the front of your life. You've got to figure out how to deal with it. When you walk into an environment like a network meeting, where everybody is there to get business, everybody's there to snatch up your business card, to get your money, to buy a product, get you to buy their product. That's 1,000 little attitudes going on at the same time. How do you manage that?
Well, in the beginning, I used to go find the most positive person.
Really?
Yes, I would go to them first because they always make you feel good and you can kind of tell who those people are. Like as I evolved through networking, then I kind of went to a place where I went towards the person that looked like nobody was talking to them so that I could make them feel good. And then now I feel like God highlights people in the room that I'm supposed to meet. And usually it's at least 4 or 5 that just stand out above everybody else. And it's not because they're the most positive or like their outfit or anything like that. It's more just God keeps showing me this person over and over.
They're just
and over.
Holy Spirit designated.
Yes.
Like a little light bulb above their head. This one, talk to this one.
Yeah, and I don't usually know what it's for. And like 9 times out of 10, it'll be like the speaker of the room or like someone else, someone really important that I need to meet in the room. Or maybe it's somebody that like was like, God sent you to me because I was having the worst day. So I always know why once the conversation starts. I don't always know in the beginning. And I've been on the other side of that too, where I ignore that prompting. And then I find out something where I'm like, I was supposed to meet that person and I didn't do it. So
like a missed opportunity to
yeah,
save a life, so to speak. There's a story in Success Principles by Jack Canfield that I reference a lot of a guy who committed suicide by jumping off the Brooklyn Bridge. And when they went to clean out his apartment, because that's high dollar real estate, they found a sticky note on the inside of the door, and the paper was already faded, meaning it had been there for a long time. And it said, if someone smiles at me today, I won't jump.
Yeah.
And you realize if it's been there a long time, now what that means is that up to this point, every day that he's walked out the door thinking today is the end, somebody smiled. Somebody smiled and it saved his life.
Yeah.
But today they didn't. And you have to ask, what if I was the person that had the opportunity to smile? What if I was the one that could have said, it's going to be okay. Can I buy you a cup of coffee? I don't like you. You smell funny, but I still like to buy you a cup of coffee. All right. So I guess the next question is, sounds like an evolution in your own experience of first I'm going to seek the one that has the most positive energy. Would you consider that almost self-serving or selfish to say, I want to find the person that's going to pour into me?
I think it's great for people who are maybe afraid to talk to people. I never recommend you go walk up to the most closed looking person in the room because especially if you're new to networking,
that's going to damage your own confidence.
You want to set yourself up for success. And so I don't think that you can ever go wrong going to connect with a positive, outgoing, open-looking person. So I think it's really a great place to start for people who are maybe a little bit more timid in the networking arena. And then, evolving yourself to where it's just fun to me to see who's going to be in the room. And I know not everybody feels that way. So, I like to help people figure out ways to make it more fun for themselves. And so
when you made the move from seeking out the most positive person to seeking out the person who you felt like they're kind of alone, they need somebody to pour into them, did then you take that role on yourself to be the most positive person in the room?
Yeah, I try to be, yes.
And then you move from that to, okay, God, who are you going to send me to?
Yes. Okay.
Do you ever feel dishonest with yourself when you know you're having a bad day or you don't feel well and you're like, I'm an imposter. I'm here with a big smile on my face. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I feel like crawling under a rock.
I don't think that I feel that way. I think that when I get in the room,
maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the bipolar one. It's altogether possible. I'm just. Curious.
I mean, I've definitely walked into rooms where I'm like, I maybe get a nervous feeling, and I love to network, so that was kind of a weird feeling. But I think everybody gets nervous at some point because maybe if you know no one in the room.
Right.
But I will say the quickest way usually to overcome those feelings is just to take some sort of action.
Just start talking to people.
Just talk to people. Just smile at somebody. Just, tell someone you like their shirt. Anything that you can do to snap yourself out of your own self-awareness of like your day that you've had and focus on the person. It's always snapped me out of whatever has happened before. Something good always happens from those events. You always meet someone great.
Have you ever met somebody at a network meeting, the conversation came around to faith, and instantly they got offended and they wanted to walk away?
I haven't had that experience yet. What I've had a lot of experience with is people saying, I was hurt by my church, or, I used to go to church, but I don't anymore because people were hypocrites or things like that. And so I love to encourage them, God isn't people, and people are flawed. We all have issues, but it doesn't mean people who say one thing and do another are not going to be in the church space. And then it's great because it gives me an opportunity to invite them to a different environment. Like I love bringing people to my church. So I've had a lot of that.
I think it's been my experience that when I've encountered those people who are so mature and so Christ-like that there's no hypocrisy, there's no anger, there's no frustration in them, but they show up in a normal church, they just ruin things. I mean, because the church is full of hypocrites. So if you're perfect and you go there, you just mess up the whole mix.
Yeah.
So you should probably stay home anyway. If you're more Christ-like than Jesus, just stay home because you're just making it hard on the rest of us. So the idea of evangelism as opposed to networking, do you see those as different, or do you see that your calling in Christ and your job in networking are one and the same and inextricably linked?
Yes, I think they're one and the same. I think absolutely. I think networking gave me the skills to invite so many people to church, which led them to get saved, which is a beautiful thing. So I think, in my shyness in the past before learning how to network, I was way more timid to invite someone to church, which didn't give them a chance to come to church and get saved. So I think they're definitely intertwined. I think it's the same skill set. It's just all about loving people and connecting for a purpose.
And what would you say is the best advice when you do encounter that person that no matter, you smile at them and they run from you. You try to talk to them and they turn away or they stare at the floor the whole time, and it's obvious that their confidence has been just beaten down. How do you build that person up?
I think just pouring into them, giving them attention if they want it, asking them questions about themselves. Sometimes it's like you kind of got to pull out of the person. Obviously I don't think that's someone that you would want to talk to about business in that moment, but maybe just talking to them when nobody else would, or maybe other people would run away from them because of their posture or their demeanor. I think just acknowledging them makes a really big difference.
Is it hard to draw the line between business cohorts, strangers, and friends?
I don't think so. I think, well, not for me anyway, so I don't know. Maybe for some people it is. I don't think going to a networking event with the intention of I'm going to get business is ever a good thing. I think going there with the intention of who am I going to connect with, who am I going to meet, is a much better way to get a great outcome. Because when you're there about others, business will naturally come.
So how do you decide who it is that you want to connect with?
Now?
Yeah, is that based on their income level, their friendliness, the type of business they're in, what they offer to the world, the kind of shoes they're wearing? How do you decide that's somebody I'm going to talk to? Now, I know you said the God highlight thing, so that obviously is your number one priority. If you walk in and he hasn't pointed anybody out, what's your next scale of hunting?
Hunting, I like that. I like to... it kind of depends on my mood for the day, but sometimes if I see someone just that looks like they need to be talked to, or they're just like completely alone, or they look lost, or maybe it looks like it's their first time, I love to go to those people. I love
That's probably
connecting.
me in every meeting I have that look on my face.
And see, if somebody met you, it would be a great connection. So you just never know where those are going to lead to. But I like that, or somebody who I can tell has presence in the room. Like I always like to hear their stories, and because they're fascinating to me. Like, how do they get where they are, and how did they get so confident in what they're doing and their walk and their, I'm attracted to confidence too. I think we all are. So, yeah, I just think
So
that.
what are the signs of confidence you look for? Guys, take note. What are the signs of confidence that you look for to say this is a person who, at minimum, maybe they don't own the room, but they own their space?
They're just smiling at people. They're connecting with people. They're walking around. It just exudes off of them that they are not timid to be in the room. So they're
Is this
standing
that
up
vibe
straight.
thing we're talking about?
Yeah, maybe a vibe, like
Chemistry.
a confidence vibe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they just, and sometimes maybe deep inside they do have a fear of talking to people, but they overcome that and they still talk to people anyway. So to me, those are great people to meet because they're people who are going after things and doing stuff, even in the midst of fear.
Are they always the happy, joy people?
Not always. I think some people even look intimidating to talk to. And I found that when you get past that and you're like, hey, I'm going to go talk to this person that maybe looks a little bit intimidating, or I'm going to go talk to the person that's speaking, you find that they're just real people who want to get to know you too. And, maybe they're not used to people approaching them because they look a little intimidating. So when you actually go up and talk to them, I think that it just opens a whole world of doors.
Okay, so tough question for the last question.
Okay.
We live in a world today where young people have no clue what protocol is. That I grew up in a day being in the military, if someone of rank walked into the office or walked into the building, everybody else stood up to honor them when they came in the room. I've been in circles, both in business and in ministry, where there are still those that you don't want to say revere, but everybody honors them and you respect them, whether it's their age, their position, or whatever else. Some of them move around with an entourage of security around them, and some of them are even incognito. You can't tell who the security is, but they're always being watched because they know they're in danger. Many young people today, because they spend their entire time in their cell phone, like you said before, it's really hard to get tone out of a text.
Yeah.
And so protocol and honor and respect are almost things of the past. How do you designate those things when you're training somebody to say, look, I want you to have the boldness to approach anybody, but there's also a place where, if you just walked up to the president or even a past president and randomly walked up to shake their hand, you might get put on the floor. And so you've got to kind of know that there's a protocol. And there are some people that have that protocol wired in their head that if you approach me, there's already a problem. They are escorted in the building. They're escorted out of the building. They don't stop for anything. They move as fast as they can. They have purpose when they're going somewhere. How would you instruct someone, networking like a boss, to approach somebody like that? How would you instruct them to say, if you want to build a relationship with somebody like that, here's how you do it?
So someone of influence that maybe has an entourage, those kind of people. I think my number one thing is prayer. That's the number one thing that works. Praying like, God, I really want to meet this person. Speaking it out. I think I told you that I mentioned someone I wanted to meet. And then, shortly after that, someone invited me to a private home where they were going to be. So I think speaking it out there, I think praying ahead of time, like, God, give me favor. And it's just amazing what doors will open. You'll be so surprised because when you do that and you pray about it, then, they may turn the corner and they want to shake your hand or they say hello to you, and just opportunities present themselves. So I think having self-awareness too.
What do you mean by that?
Or sensory awareness of your environment. So obviously if it looks like somebody's on a mission to get somewhere and they've got people all surrounded, it might not be the best time to approach that person. But you just look for opportunities where it might be. And you always come from a place of value and service whenever you're approaching someone. So when you come from a place of value and what can you do for them first, that's always a better conversation.
I was at an national conference just a few weeks ago, and there were some genuine celebrities there. I mean, in some circles, they are the A-list of the A-list. And one particular one was moving through a crowd. Not sure where they were going, but they were moving through a crowd, maybe head to the restroom, who knows. And there were people like every 3 feet stopping them, can I just get a picture with you? Can I just get a picture with you? And this person would reply and go, yes, if you make it quick. And I remember overhearing a conversation of one of those people that snapped that photo who said, I would have thought somebody of his stature would have been much more polite. And I thought, maybe he's about to pee on himself. And maybe you didn't know what was going on in their world, where they were headed next, what they were going. Maybe they were already late for a meeting. Maybe you were the 109th photograph that they've taken in the last 6 feet. And then there are those people that want to stop and they always say, I don't want to take much of your time. And then they start with a childhood story and they want to come all the way forward. And 45 minutes later, you're still going, I really need, it's not that I'm not listening, but I stopped listening about 20 minutes ago because I'm going through all the ramifications of what's happening in my life while I'm listening to your story.
Yes.
And I won't say that I've been on both sides of that because I've never been the dignitary that anybody cared to stalk down. But I can tell you that being caught along the way with every other little problem to solve does sometimes make it hard to do what you're there for, to pay attention to, whether it's being on the stage or being on the camera. And it's amazing to me how many people don't have, like you said, that situational awareness.
Yeah.
To be able to say, what's important right now? Can I make a connection? Can I show that respect? Another theory that I've been working on, I don't know that it's worth a whole book, but it's definitely worth a full teaching, is called that path to opportunity. Mm-hmm. Success leads to access, leads to relationship, leads to opportunity. And if you don't follow that path, starting first with service, how can I be of service to you? How can I help you? I'm not looking to get anything from you. First, I want to know, A, will you let me serve you? B, can we work together? If I'm in a service mode, can we be compatible? Mm-hmm. And if the answer to that is no, I don't need access to your life. And I don't want you to have access to mine. If you won't even let me serve you, I already know everything I need to know about our relationship. And that's pretty much that it's over. But then access, if they allow you to serve, then that access comes as a result of that. Mm-hmm. And then opportunity follows relationship. Most people want to jump from service to relationship to opportunity, or from access. Oh, well, so-and-so introduced us, so now all of a sudden we have a relationship. You're like, oh, no, it doesn't really work like that. You're going to have to go back and serve at some point in order to build that relationship. Would you agree with that theory? You've got much more experience in networking than I do.
Yeah, I think service is everything. When we learn to serve others, it's just like, it feels good because it's just an indirect, natural thing that happens. And maybe you don't do business with that person, but they will probably lead you to someone because they're a raving fan of yours, because you're helping maybe help one of their dreams come true.
We were invited to be a part of an event today, in fact, and the invitation came from a previous client that we've served for 10 or 11 years. And it's the person who invited us is not even the direct client. They're the spouse of the client. But they've watched from a distance for a dozen years how we've served and what we've done. And I saw a social media announcement that, hey, we had to swap out one vendor for another vendor, and the new vendor we absolutely adore. And I'm thinking, well, if that's the case, why didn't you start there? But I get it. That it doesn't always work that way. But just to have that acknowledgement to say, this is somebody we love doing business with. We're glad that they're coming.
Yeah.
That's the service that leads to access, that leads to relationship, that leads to opportunity.
Absolutely. And God sees how we serve, and he's going to bless us. So when he sees us serve others, whether it's for, business or not, he sees that and he'll reward that.
Well, we'll have to have another conversation sometime, because I'd love to talk to you about, people sometimes tell me I have an identity crisis because I do so many different things. And I tell them I don't have an identity crisis, but I may have a brand crisis. And that is, some people pigeonhole me and they're like, well, he's good at this, which means he can't be good at anything else. So if he's doing those other things, this is what he's really good at. And I'm like, if you only knew, that's like, I do that because it's like the hobby that keeps me good at these other skills.
Yeah.
I don't do that because that's all I can do. There's so many other things that I do. This is just one of the overflow, if you will. And it's pretty fascinating that happens. I wonder how often you run into that in networking, where people are pigeonholed, whether it's by their business card or by their introduction or by their elevator pitch.
Yes.
And because they get pigeonholed, nobody ever expects anything greater of them. And you kind of see them through the lens of that elevator pitch and not the whole person.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then you could think, oh, I don't need that person because they only do this, when they don't know you do all these other things, or you're connected to all these other people.
I literally have 5 business cards in my pocket. And they're all mine. And they're all different things.
Yeah.
And people go, so what do you do? And the best way I can nail it down is if there's a microphone involved, I'll find a way to make money with it. And
Powerful.
that works for some people. My newest, though, is just a QR code to my app and my picture. There's no phone number. There's no email address. There's no web. If it's not worth enough trouble to go to the app and see the different things that are available, then I get it, and we're okay with that.
Yeah.
You may or may not remember my name, and that's fine. It's the best I can do at this point. Amy, I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you
We
so
are
much
running
for
out of
having
time
me.
because the network is going to tell us, hey, you're already 5 minutes over. They're going to cut something.
Yeah.
But Rumble got the whole thing. So
Good.
share it on Facebook,
Hello,
share it on
Rumble.
Rumble. Yeah, I mean, I love me some Rumble because they don't have that free speech problem.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate you. Thanks for watching Storypower TV. I hope you'll share this. I hope you have some questions. And if you go to amy.wellnesswarrior.com, amy.wellnesswarrior.com, you can connect with Amy, send her an email. Maybe she'll even drop you a free copy of her ebook, How to Network Like a Boss. But if you've got other questions about faith, other questions about better communication skills, how to tell better stories better, you can go to storypowercoach.com or just drop me an email. We do have a 10-week spiritual warfare class going on right now. You can jump in on that as well. Love to teach you what it means to win the war between your soul and your spirit long before you worry about fighting on demons. Most people jump that battle and start fighting where they're not qualified yet. That's a dangerous thing. You ever take on a black belt? Yeah. Demons are black belts in spiritual warfare, and most people are not ready for that. They think they are, but they're not qualified. If you'd like to know more about that, you can go to Amazon, check out 5 battle strategies of a victorious warrior. Until then, share this podcast, share this video with other people, and let them know Jesus is still alive and well. Or as my friend Dr. Randy Weiss says, Jesus is coming soon. Look busy. Have a blessed day.